Hey everybody, welcome to the garden. I hope you're having a great day. Shout out to the lemon and lime lovers and everybody in between. It's time for a crypto highlight video. So, we're going to be going over Hi-Fi Finance, MFT by request. We're going to take a look at the macro, we're going to take a look at the intermediary, and then we're going to look at the short-term time frames as well. And I'm going to try to give you a trade opportunity on each time frame and give you my recommendation. Again, it's just my recommendation. I'm just going off the technicals. I know nothing about the fundamentals of this project, or probably most of the coins that will be suggested I won't really know much about. Okay, but looking at the technicals, I have this pivot indicator on just so you can see the high and lows easier. Before I go into a chart, I always ask myself, and I tell this to pretty much every trader, whether they're a novice or a pro, always ask yourself what's happening. Are you going up? Are you going down? Or are you going sideways? Because the chart's doing one of the three. Keep things simple. So in this chart with MFT, we know we're going down because what are we seeing? We're seeing lower highs, okay, lower highs, and then we're seeing lower lows. So on the daily, on the macro structure, even though we don't have that much information here, it's fairly a young coin. We're going lower, clearly, okay? So look at the lows, look at the highs, so higher low, higher low, lower low, lower low. So we're clearly trending to the downside. Now, what opportunities do we get there? So we can see that if we want to stay within the trend, we should look for potential places to go short on the daily. And then we can look to see where the targets would be. So let's get a little bit closer into what's happening today. So as we can see, a couple things happened actually. We had a nice, what I would say, a pretty nice stable rise on MFT down here. So let's actually use this low right here, connect this trend line through this price action here, right there. Okay, so we saw that price was following this trend line, finally broke, but when it broke, did it go straight down? No. What is price doing here? Simply, it's going sideways, right? So let's actually draw another trend line right here. Let's draw another trend line right here. So here's a ray. So this is the high, fairly going sideways, and then let's do a ray right here to this low. Look at that. That's sideways. This is a clear range that formed after the bearish break of that ascending trend line. And then what happened 2 days ago? We had a break down from that range, and now we are clearly testing the bottom of that range. We even wicked into it and came right back. So clearly we are showing potential signs that we're going to have a continuation to the downside. All right, now let's get a little bit closer in and look at the daily. So we did miss a trade opportunity here. So it's a bit too late. We may get it again, but it looks a bit too late. We had a fair value gap at FVG that was here on the daily that got tapped into. So take a look at this. This is one of my favorite ways to enter a position. So the FVG right here, we'll make it a bearish one because it is. You see today's daily candle wicked into it, sold right off, and came back under the range. So we may see that continuation down. So we don't really have much of a trade opportunity here. You could try and take a trade on a retest of that FVG. However, it's going to be very difficult for the daily candle to do that, especially if Bitcoin stays weak. So we have to assume that the daily candle, the daily entry has been missed. Okay, it has been missed. Now, where can we see price get to, and we may potentially get another opportunity to short on the daily? Well, you want to look for liquidity levels. So we see this liquidity level here got tapped already. So this low right here got tapped. You see this daily candle 2 days ago came into it, tapped the liquidity that was residing under this pivot, had a nice day yesterday, and now may have that continuation. So the next liquidity zone will be this level right here and this level right here. Okay, so we could take this one off. It's not viable anymore. Whatever stops were pulled under here have been taken out. These are the next two levels to watch out for. And from there, breaking this, look for a potential, a minor swing up. And on that swing up, you can then look for a more optimal entry. Now, where's the ultimate target for MFT on the daily, on the large structure? Well, what I love to do this, which is, and it's so fun to see play out. You want to look for obscure trend lines on the large time frame. So for the daily, I actually see one right now that's clear as day that will likely be tapped if we have the continuation of the downtrend on the macro. So take a look at these lows down here. So this low right here, so from the all-time high to this low right here, and then look for, you could either use this, you can use this low pivot here, or you can use this pivot right here, which was the beginning of the uptrend here. I would use this pivot here because even though this did wick a little lower, it's okay. You're still getting the price interaction of the general zone. So you want to see lines have more price interaction than less. It validates them, it makes them more viable. So this is clearly, to me, going to be the ultimate target level if we have that continuation down. So we'll take out the lows here, breaking down. So let's actually draw this out a little bit. So we can potentially see, MFT do something like this, then break down, and the ultimate target will be a little bit too low. The ultimate target will be somewhere right around here. So right around this descending trend line. Okay, watch for this descending trend line on the low side to actually be held and respected. Okay, watch for this. This would be the ultimate target. And I honestly think if you want to look for an actual long opportunity, look for that on the daily. All right, but we are some ways away from that. So since we don't really have a daily opportunity, because I do believe we've missed it, let's go down to the lower time frame, see if the 4-hour can give us anything else. We'll keep some of the daily levels up. We'll take the daily FVG out because there should be FVGs on the 4-hour that may give us an opportunity. So looking on the 4-hour, again, still that range. 4-hour potentially, looks like it's breaking structure to potentially come a little bit lower. Let's see any fair value gaps that got filled. So there was a fair value gap here that got tapped into on the 4-hour, so we did miss that. So right here, and there's actually one higher right here. So let's do that one as well. Actually, I missed this. Here it is. Yep, there we go. Get rid of the small one. Okay, yeah, so this fair value gap got tapped into, and then there's this one up here that I do not believe actually it did get tapped in this candle, but it did get tapped from the rise up. So we have a higher FVG that hasn't gotten tapped. This lower one has gotten tapped through. So this would have been the ideal place to actually have a limit short order here. But so far, we may actually see potentially price come back towards this level because it's not showing complete, it's not fully breaking down yet. So you may want to put a limit short in this area or try and get in this area if we do have a rise back up, because the risk reward will be great and the invalidation of this trade is very easy to see. So what I would do if I'm going to take a short off the 4-hour, I would look to open up a short right here. So the bottom side of the top FVG right here, and look for either a stop above this high pivot here or potentially try and just go above the highest pivot right over here, above the range, the top side of the range. And then my target would be right down here, right there. Okay, so under this pivot here, and that's the pivot right here. So I would look for this sort of trade on the 4-hour, which is about a little over a 2-to-1. So I think that's actually a pretty solid risk reward, and it's clearly a very easy trade to make. If you miss it, you miss it. Okay, it's not the biggest deal, but it's best to try and get the best risk reward you can. That way, if you're wrong, it's cheapest to be wrong in this way. So that's what I would do on the 4-hour. Now let's go on the 1-hour. Let's get rid of these FVGs again. We're going to keep the same levels though. Okay, because the daily levels are still viable even on the smaller time frames. All right, so looking on the hourly is showing more signs of a break of trend than the 4-hour, right? So looking at the hourly, we have a short-term bottom wick right here, and then we have potentially a break happening right now. So going from this low pivot here, and now the break here. We may potentially come up again to test it, but this is showing signs that we may have a continuation to the downside. Any opportunity here. Now, we actually do have an opportunity on the 1-hour. So right here is a bearish FVG. All right. So you may be able to try and enter at the top side of this FVG or the bottom side if you're trying to be, conservative and trying to get the, the easiest entry. But if you're trying to get the most optimal entry, it'd be the top side of this FVG. And honestly, you can actually have a pretty tight risk reward here. So pretty much you would go short right here on the hourly, look to put your stop above this high wick here, okay? and then look to target. You could do one of two things. You can look to target the lows here to try and grab any liquidity that was there residing, or do the same thing on the 4-hour, have the same target and look to target the same level here, pretty much right under this level, or you can even target right at this level here, or you can do this right here. So you have a couple options here. But you could target this bullish FVG down here. All right, and we don't want to ignore there's one more over here that's fairly large. Okay, so right here. Okay, you actually see the candle wicked into that already. So you have a couple options here. So you can go. I would have to suggest you go for the low side of the larger FVG down here, just for the risk. You get 1.4. But if it's going to take this FVG out, it's very likely going to come down lower on the 1-hour, especially if the 4-hour showing continuation. You want to probably at least target the low side of this FVG, which is just under 2 to 1. And then if you're going to come down there, again, you may just want the 4-hour target. But on the 1-hour, this would be a pretty nice trade in my opinion. Okay, so this looks pretty decent to come lower. So my current thought process on MFT is that you're probably going to see more downside. Again, you can attribute a lot of this to Bitcoin, but just looking at the technicals, MFT in a vacuum, I have to have a bearish bias on the macro. And even the short-term time frames, I don't see anything to tell me that it's bullish. Now, if it were to break up, what would be the target level you want to see, towards the upside? Well, short-term would be the top side of the range here, and then over time, it would be this trend line right here. Push this out into the future. This rising trend line will be the next target level you want to watch. Okay, for sure. And outside of that, that's about it. There's really not much else that you want to look into. A lot of the FEGs got wicked into over these wicks over the months and in the year or so. So a lot of those upside FEGs are kind of, I would say filled. So I would look for this ascending trend line to the upside to be tapped. You could obviously open short on that, but if you were to go long, you're seeing it break character, from the downtrend to go to the uptrend. Look for this trend line to be the short-term target. All right, everyone, that's it for MFT. Again, remember, if you have any other charts you want me to check out, make sure to post them in the Discord. I will do a video just like this one on it, and yeah. And also, if you're not part of the Discord, make sure to check the link below and join up. It's a free Discord. I do have a paid service on that Discord, so if you're interested in any of the services, make sure to check the Patreon because you'll get a lot of the details on there. Swing trades, day trades, and tutoring sessions, they're all available to you at a, I would say, very reasonable price. Just take a look, especially if you want to get better at trading. I'm quite good. And that is it. That is it for MFT. Everyone, remember, have a great day and be patient, be vigilant, and be nimble. I love you guys. Take care. Bye.